So everyone, welcome. I'm Hitesh, Hathi. I think most of you know me, so I don't need to spend time with describing myself. I'm with the Mittal Institute, and on behalf of the Mittal Institute, it's an honor and a pleasure to welcome all of you here to our annual symposium. I think of the symposium as our annual community get-together with some very serious discussion about the world. And as you know, this year we're talking about rivers, which is our big new project. Because we're all part of a community, I just thought I would give you a very brief update on the Institute, since this is the one place where we all gather every year, both our faculty and the community of people who are interested in South Asia. Some of you have heard this last night from me, and so forgive me for repeating. We're living in challenging times. The university is living in challenging times. The world is in challenging times. We know there are many things on everyone's minds, but I also want you to know that the Institute through this time continues to flourish. We've kept our eyes on our core mission, which is the generation of new knowledge, the teaching of it, and finding ways to use that knowledge to make some meaningful difference on the ground, especially in the region. The strengths of this institute are that, first of all, we are South Asia. Many institutes are from one country or another. So we are, in that sense, an institute that still sees the region as a larger culture or a set of connected cultures. Within the university, we have the same idea, and this is credit to Tarun Khanna, whose vision it was, who is right here. The Institute involves people from every part of the university. So every discipline, there are institutes which focus on, and I'm not being critical, that's also a beautiful thing to do, focus on one discipline or an aspect of a discipline. But we have people from engineering to the business school, to the School of Architecture, to religion, to the social sciences and the humanities working together. And the third thing is that the projects we do and the research we undertake, it's research that is crucial to understanding the region, but it's also in many ways connected to all of humanity, and we're always aware of that. And the strengths of the Institute are that we have done extensive long-term projects which allow different kinds of contributions from different disciplines and which allow us to work intensely on the ground with partners in the region. We have 4 large projects we're doing currently, a climate platform that we've been building, and the climate platform, which was launched 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and a year ago, we had the first follow-up to present the early research in India, 1,000 people and scholars from all over the world and all over the region, actually, talking about what we found for climate adaptation. The key part of the report, the recommendations for adaptation, were adopted into the National Climate Adaptation Plan, and we have a team at the NRDC today which is presenting the white paper that's come out. So that is already being translated on the ground. The other large project that we're doing is on the arts. We're now working with 5 museums and about to expand to Dhaka. This is where we bring science and art together. We're helping museums do scientific analysis of the objects they have, and then helping them develop conservation plans for those objects. The third project that we have is the Lancet, and I'm looking at Tarun Khanna, who's here, who along with Vikram Patel at the medical school helped initiate it. That worked with over 200 researchers on the ground over multiple years to chart India's healthcare system. And it has come out now with a launch this year in Delhi and at the Jaipur Literature Festival. It was done in conjunction with the Lancet, which is one of the world's leading medical journals. that's come out with a set of recommendations to achieve universal health coverage for India and India's population, but the larger goal is very clear. The insights from that will be important all around the region. And in fact, Tarun and Vikram Patel are also speaking with colleagues from Latin America to see the ways in which we can collaborate with them also, because they're shared and similar issues. And we're about to initiate the project Rivers, about which Professor Eck will tell you. So really, I want to say all of this work is possible because of this community. We have a good community of supporters, financial and otherwise. We have an extraordinary community of scholars at Harvard and elsewhere, and a wonderful cohort of students. We work with 17 students groups from every country in the region, and actually a couple of Central Asian student groups who like to affiliate with us. And that's what is responsible for the Institute's success. In addition to, and let me take a minute to point out, this is perhaps the most active institute currently on campus. And it seems like we're doing a lot, and I think we are, and it's with about a staff of 7, which at the moment is reduced to 3. So I want to say Aparna is here. Mirella is somewhere in the background. Mirella, are you here? She may be outside. There she is. We also have Danielle, and I think Ava are outside. So all the extraordinary work that you see in the newsletters, in all the communications from us, and in other ways, it's being done by a very tiny staff, and I'm very honored to be working with them every day. So with that, let me just turn to Professor Diana Eck. Since some of you, I think, don't know us as well, let me just give a little bit of an introduction to say Diana Eck is Professor of Comparative Religion and Indian Studies Emerita and the Frederic Wertham Research Professor of Law and Psychiatry in Society at Harvard. She also serves as our faculty director, as you know, and she's, a leading scholar of religion. Her work focuses both on India and the US. She looks at sacred geography, pilgrimage traditions in India, the challenges of religious pluralism, and its growth in the United States. She has a number of books, many of which you'll actually find in every stall in Indian cities, including Banaras City of Light and India Sacred Geography. And she also founded and has led the Pluralism Project, which is looking at pluralism in the US. I'm also very happy to say she's an old friend. Well, I'm old. She's a friend. Anyway, Professor Eck.
Thank you, Hitesh. I just brought my little list that I ended with in my talk last night. But it's wonderful to see all of you here today, and to be able to thank Hitesh once again for the way in which he has sort of masterminded the changes afoot in the university and, well, to tell you the truth, actually, in the world as well. So the Rivers Project, I'm always taken a bit aghast when we describe it as a big major project. Well, it will be, I think, if we are successful in bringing many people into it. It really is based on the simple premise that we as people really depend on water, on rivers, and all that they bring to us for our well-being. But the other side is also true, that rivers depend on us for their well-being. And so we live with rivers of necessity. And the issues that we address for rivers are really also issues that extend across to the wider world of water. Certainly one of the great issues of our time, but also of the future. And so, as we think about this, and as I think about it, in the first instance, rivers are not really respecters of national or state or regional boundaries. In India, they flow largely from the Himalayas, which were once imagined to be the sort of storehouse of water, at least until Indra took it on to release the waters from the Himalayas so that they could flow upon the earth for the nourishment of humankind. So that is certainly one of the issues, that our rivers flow everywhere. In India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the things that we give these names to now, but rivers flow across borders, and wider South Asia is nourished by its rivers. So there are many things, and we have, I think it's one of our participants today who's a particular expert in negotiations for rivers, which is good, because as we remember from the dust-up, you might say, between India and Pakistan a number of months ago, the Indus Water Treaty was for a time really threatened. One that is a water sharing agreement between India and Pakistan. And so it is. I spoke last night about the Kaveri River, which flows through, Karnataka into Tamil Nadu. Who has the water? Whose water is this? Actually, we face the same with the Colorado River in the United States. So these are significant issues. And to negotiate water, well, that's your business. And we're so glad that you're here, Shafiq. Then other issues that I think we need to address. First, the fact that all of these rivers have been subject, India's great rivers, to perpetual damming, including high dams and small dams. And someone was saying last night that even along the Brahmaputra, there are 800 dams. Where do they put them all? But I mean, the issue of damming the rivers is not without its drawbacks. I mean, these are good for hydroelectric power, et cetera, but also they, as we found with the great Sardar Sarovar on the Narmada, they have the capacity to destroy so much along the riverbank, villages, lands, agricultural lands, the displacement of people. All of this, one of the serious issues that our rivers face, that the dams, as Nehru called them, were the temples of modern India, because they were going to be able to generate the energy for a modern economy. Well, they can do that, but they also have real problems, and especially the high dams. Then, Modi spoke of rivers as highways of progress, that they are the highways of India. Well, surely they are. And, many, many rivers, are the places where commerce is flourishing. But a lot of it are just these little boats that go from side to side, from one bank to another. And the big rivers, even the Ganga and Brahmaputra, are not really going to be highways, because they have also been dammed and their water flow so attenuated that they're not really very good for transportation. And on the issues arise. Then there are issues of the pollution of rivers, which I emphasized a bit last night, because I'm a humanist. I'm interested in the ways in which Hindu India at least uses rivers so very intensively as part of daily life. Millions upon millions of people repair to these rivers on a daily basis to bathe, to worship not only in the river, but to worship the rivers. That the rivers are, in this view, the great cathedrals of India. I mean, we associate Indian religion with fabulous temples, and there are many fabulous temples, but actually, the temples aren't that important compared to the rivers. And even at great melas like the Kumbh Melas in Prayag or Haridwar, well, there are temples somewhere, but people don't go there for the temples. There's no temple at the Sangam, at the Triveni in Prayag. The place where people go is the rivers themselves. And so the pollution of rivers, the industrial and human pollution that rivers bear, is a really serious issue. and the flow of rivers, the speed of flow that is attenuated by dams and irrigation and whatnot. That means the rivers don't flow fast enough to actually clean themselves, and that's a problem. And there have been IITs that have focused specifically on this issue. And along with it, the unregulated pump wells and the lowering of groundwater, which also accounts for siphoning off some of the water from the rivers. And global warming, this is certainly part of climate change. The issue of the melting glaciers that are receding and the sometimes catastrophic results, as at Kedarnath in 2013, when 6,000 people were killed, buried, whatnot, when the rivers from the Chorabari Glacier just exploded down the mountainside and uprooted buildings and highways and everything. So global warming is certainly an issue. And then engineering issues. I don't know how many engineers at Harvard are prepared to think about the ones that Indian engineers are thinking about, the linking of rivers one to the other, like the Godavari River. They've created a huge dam that will presumably then siphon the water, excess water from the Godavari to the Krishna River or somewhere else. A project that is not entirely given its blessing by everyone, you might say. And we're very lucky here to have people from the World Bank, like Harsh, who had to oversee the ways in which rivers, big dams, the construction and blockage of rivers through big dams. How does that affect the human population and the more than human population? And then the question of building on rivers. We have a panel on that today where, whole areas like Chennai and Bangalore and parts of the delta of the Brahmaputra are actually constructed on water. And that is another issue that we need to think about. And then I also spoke of what is increasingly called the rights of rivers. And that is R-I-G-H-T, the rights of rivers. Do rivers have rights? Are rivers alive? Can rivers be granted the kinds of protection that would be important to preserve the future of rivers? And of course, we mostly see this in a few places now. In India, the Yamuna and Ganga have been given legal rights to be protected by human guardians. How will that work? In Ecuador and in New Zealand and Bolivia, Colombia, they also have legislated and through the courts enacted the ability of rivers and other aspects of nature to be juridical persons. And this is something we're just beginning to absorb. What does that mean? One of our people we would love to have had with us is Robert McFarlane, who wrote this book entitled, Is a River Alive? And what does it mean to think about the life of a river? Well, these are tough questions, and there are so many of them. But one of the things I hope we will do here is to begin to talk about them. And we will have many interlocutors in India as well, both NGOs and other individuals, scientists, researchers. We need everybody for this. We need people in public health, in science, in engineering, in architecture, and as I would say, also in the humanities, where we take stock of the spiritual dimensions of rivers. So I hope that this will be a start, not just talking about this project, but actually beginning some of it in our conversations today. So with that, I will turn the floor back to Hitesh. Thank you.